today. I need to get on that. Okay, we're back. We're fucking back. Let's see what's up with this Braum game. So was this a competitive game?
No, this is just a random Braum game that's not even very good use of, like, elo, because it's, like, I don't know, maybe high silver. But, like, it's not that one.
Yeah,
That's not me.
I'd be doing the same. I did this last time, too. I'd be doing the same shit every time.
It's okay. But I just picked this one because I don't know how to play Braum with Lucian. It's supposedly good, but I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just don't even know. Like, I pretend to play this champion, and there's no guides or anything on it. So I was like, I'll just bring a random one. This is just the only Braum game I have. That's why I brought it.
Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about what Braum wants to do in the game and his champion identity. I don't even want to talk about lane yet. So you're a warden, which means we're low threat. Oftentimes that means we have to opt into the war of attrition, right? But the benefit of your champion is that you scale incredibly hard. Like I want you to just take kind of a peek at your spells. This W spell and this E spell both get insane value from points in the spell. Like if you look at the E at level 1, it's 35% damage reduction. At max rank, it's 55%, right? And then 4-second duration. And then the W, it gives you whoever you W to gets 40 bonus armor and MR. And then additional like percent bonus of your armor and MR as well. So we can give like a huge amount of armor and magic resist. So points in your spells are really valuable in Braum. XP is really valuable. That's the first thing I want you to understand. So in lane, we're forced to opt into the war of attrition. But the thing we have to understand about Braum is that he's the best skirmishing support in the game. And it's not close. And it's because of his passive. Yep.
Yeah.
So now there's other champions that are going to be better in like certain skirmishes. What Braum is really good at is like extended messy fights. So generally speaking, what we want to do on Braum every single game is right click to the grubs on spawn. You are the best grub fighting support in the game, and it's like not even close. 1, your passive is really OP. 2, there's like a lot of champions up there. But then 3, oftentimes champions struggle to hit level 6. If you miss any XP in your lane, you're not going to be able to hit level 6 before the grubs. And if champions don't have their ulti, then Braum's passive just like carries him in the grub fight. It's really, really OP. Recently, actually, I played Braum in Clash. I also don't play a ton of Braum. And then it was like grubs were spawning in a minute, and my ADC was like, oh, do you want me to push this wave so you can move to the grubs? And I was like, oh yeah, I do want you to do that. I recalled, I ran up to the grubs, and then my jungler got triple kill. I literally just like right clicked on them and they died. It really is that easy. Your champ is just like so broken at the grubs. We want to be fighting that every game. River skirmishes, early game invades. Like, if my jungler does blue buff and then runs into the enemy jungle, I would consider moving with him. The idea is, if there's a scrappy fight where people are just going to be killing each other for a long time, I want to be there every time, ideally. That's what my champ does. Okay?
Okay, gotcha.
The next thing we have to talk about is how Braum plays in the lane. So we have 2 choices on Braum in the lane. If we think we can win the war of attrition, we should put points in Q. If we can't win the war of attrition, we should go straight to maxing E instead. So, and then the most points I would ever put into Q on Braum is 3 points Q. Very similar to how we would play like a Soraka champion or something. If we want to like win the war of attrition, then we can put more points into like our damaging spell and play to win. And then if we think we can't win the war of attrition, I will just max my scaling spell instead. And then the reason we do that is because Braum Q is the one spell that like doesn't scale very well. It just does more damage, basically. So, and then we don't really care about dealing damage on Braum unless we're in lane. You can see though, it gets like the 2 points in Q is the difference between 75 to 175 damage. So you literally get 50 damage every time you put a point into the spell. So it scales very well with levels. It's just that like Braum is not a champion that you really care about dealing damage on, right? That is not your job.
Right.
Your job is to proc your passive. So yeah, the other thing is like on Braum, you take attack speed rune every game. I'm not sure if you took attack speed this game. You did. Cool. Yeah, so you take attack speed, and then in fights, you're just kind of focusing on getting auto attacks off on people as quickly as possible. And then the only other thing that we think about is using our E effectively, basically. Q and ulti use. Ulti is going to be more like a Diana or a Nami ulti, basically. Like, we can use it to run people down and engage occasionally, but for the most part, we just want to use it defensively, wait for the enemy to engage on you, and then use your ulti to disrupt them, right? It's like a straight line spell. It causes a lot. It's like a knock-up. It causes a lot of disruption. But for the most part, like, honestly, Braum's ulti is kind of like his least important spell. Q usage in fights, making sure we're getting our passive off on, like, everybody we can. And then shield usage. Like, that's the other big thing, is thinking about what spells are, like, worth blocking. So in this game, like, in general, you know, we can stand in between, like, if my Lucian is fighting and then they're trying to hit him, then I want to stand in between them and then press E this way to block the damage, right? That's pretty, like, basic. So in a fight, we can use our E to, like, prevent the enemy from killing people over the Braum shield or whatever. But then the second thing that we can do is think about, like, the high value spells the enemy team has to block. And then this game, that's going to be, like, a lot of them, actually. Smolder, Ezreal, and Seraphine are all very valuable spells to block, right? So in a fight, you do not, you know, if they have some spell that is really OP that you can block, Ornn ulti, Seraphine ulti, Smolder ulti, those are all some of, like, the best ones in the game. We generally do not want to use our E in the fight until one of those spells gets blown, right? So unless it's, like, a really good E angle, or I feel like I'm forced to use it, because if I don't, my ADC is going to die or something, I will just hold my E until I see Seraphine or Smolder ulti, and then I will block that. And then, like, Ornn is the champion where if Ornn is in the game, you basically never shield. You just hold your shield for Ornn ulti every single time. Seraphine is the same way. So now we're playing a war of attrition. Like, we're opting into the war of attrition, but we're playing against someone who can actually play it, right? So in this game, I probably would just go straight to maxing E, personally. In my lane, I'm just going to look to mitigate. And then the nice part about this specific matchup is that you actually don't mind Seraphine scaling so much, because part of what makes Seraphine, like, so strong in the late game is her ulti, and then you just turn her ulti off with your shield, right? So as long as we're using our shield properly on the Seraphine ulti in the late game, you're not that upset to see this champion, right? If this is like a Lulu, a Yumi, a Sona, you're pretty sad. Me personally, my pick into Braum blind and competitive is Sona. I just pick Sona into it. And it's funny because I, like, never play the Sona champion, but it's really OP, right? Because you have no threat, and then you just scale against the Braum for free. Braum has no threat, so you just scale against him for free, and it's really hard for him. So yeah, general Braum stuff. We're forced into War of Attrition. If I can win War of Attrition, I'll put 3 points Q, max E. If I can't win, I just max E right away. I want to move to grubs every game. Basically every game. Obviously, there's a time and a place for everything. You can break this rule. You don't have to do it every time. But generally, Braum is just the best grub fighting champion in the game. So unless your bot condition is really bad, or your ADC is going to get dove because you move, or the enemy top laner is 10-0 by the time you move to the grubs, like, unless something like that is happening, we want to be there every time. Yeah, and then in fights, focus on passive and E usage. Think about E usage and load screen check, right? What spells do I want to use my Braum shield on in fights, right? Like, do they have any very important spells? And in this game, they have two really, really important ones. Smolder ulti and Seraphine ulti, right? Seraphine ulti is the most important one, though. So I'm going to hold my shield for Seraphine ult every game, every fight this game. Does that make sense? So this all makes sense?
Yeah.
And
I have a random, very off-topic question. My coach is convinced that Seraphine and Sona are the same champion. And I was, like, trying to explain that they're not the same champion. So I think it's really funny you said Sona is really good, and you would... Anyways, so...
That is funny.
In, like, 2 sentences would be, like, what you think the differentiator is, because I'm having a hard time articulating it.
Seraphine has... stronger in lane. One, her ulti is more influential, and basically, like, Seraphine has, like, spells that are useful for a short amount of time, and then Sona, like, Seraphine gets value out of fights from getting one really good ulti off. Sona gets value out of fights from pressing her spells 800 times. if that makes sense.
That I pretty much told them, like, if we want to play a bunch of really weird, awkward skirmishes or really long fights, we want Sona. And they
Yeah.
were like, but the Seraphine are.
And then
I'm
Seraphine
like,
wants more like structured front to back fights, because you don't want a Seraphine ult for one kill in the river, right? Like, you want your Seraphine ulti to be going through multiple people, hitting everybody on the enemy team, stuff like that. And then Sona is just like useful in a wider variety of scenarios. Like, if Seraphine and Sona both pull up to a fight, their impact will feel similar, right? But then when Seraphine doesn't have her ulti, Sona is like still a champion if she doesn't have her ulti. But when Seraphine doesn't have her ulti, she feels really homeless, kind of. Like, a lot of her scaling is tied into this spell.
Only double W.
Yeah, but the problem is that this spell's cooldown is so long. It's 20-something second cooldown, right?
So
whereas Sona W is like 5 seconds.
Crazy.
So in like an extended fight, Sona feels better. In a short fight, Seraphine feels better. And then Seraphine's ulti is like a stronger engage tool as well. Like, Seraphine is like a... If you need engage, Seraphine, like if you're just picking a range support because you don't want to play a melee support but you need engage, Seraphine is probably better than Sona. But Sona also just scales harder in general. Sona is the hardest scaling support, kind of. Technically, it's Melio is the hardest scaling support, but I personally feel like, I know the data says it's Melio, but my brain is telling me that Sona is the hardest scaling support. All right, and then Lucian Braum, honestly, it doesn't really change anything about how you want to play. It's just sometimes when you land a stray Q, your Lucian can just like kill somebody off of it. And if the enemy tries to fight you to the death, then your champions feel really, really OP. But it doesn't really matter who your ADC is. You always want to do the same thing on Braum, which is just proc your passive as often as possible on as many people as we can. So in a fight, if I have a choice between like hitting the same guy over and over again versus like hitting them once to proc my passive and then moving on to somebody else, I'm going to do that. I just want to not like proc it. I just want to like start it, if that makes sense. I want to get the first stack of my passive on as many people as possible all the time. So you're
like Nautilus autos.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Just try to auto as many people as you can. Yeah. All right, so let's just take a look at the lane a little bit. And then this is kind of what happens. If you do land this Q spell when your ADC is Lucian, they just die, kind of, if they're out of position, which is nice.
So don't hold Q and like wait until you're ready. Just like throw a billion Qs and then if it hits, do some damage.
Yep, right now I'm just throwing Q right now from the bush, and then I'll walk back. I just want to Q like off cooldown, basically. This spell costs like no mana. Braum is not, your spells all cost no mana, but the Braum isn't a champion where we're like spamming mana anyway, right? All right, so this Q is cool, but like Q and then run. Once we Q, we just have to leave because we have no spell now, right? And then we get caught by the double Seraphine. We're going to take a lot of damage for this. Just try to hit the wave and then hit level 2. And now we should run at them. The problem is Lucian W'd before we hit level 2. So here, they chunk us a bunch. Super fine, right? Because now they're going to get baited in to keep fighting you because you're so low. And then while they're hitting you, hit the wave, hit level 2, and then they're just dead. These guys are actually just dead if we just go on them. If we hit 2 and then we go on them. But I need my Lucian to have his spell, right? This W was bad. Right now, if he has W, he just dashes forwards. You press W onto Lucian to get like the extra dash. Tag this guy with auto attack or Q, and then they just die, or they flash or they die. They will just die from full HP right here. All right. Throwing Qs, chilling, scaling. And then if I ever have a level up timer, what I want to do, if I level up before them, hit the wave, level up before them, Lucian dashes in, I jump to Lucian, press my shield this way so Seraphine can't double E us, right? And then just press Q or auto attack somebody and it'll be really good. Let Lucian dash in first, then jump to him so you get like the extra distance, tag somebody, and then use your E to disengage their spell. So it would be Seraphine E would be the spell that we're looking to disengage. But that's the only way we're ever going to be able to get like an aggressive fight. The only other way is if you like walk back so that they feel comfortable walking up and then you like W to a creep. That's the other way. But generally, if your ADC has a dash, we just want to like, you know, let our ADC dash in and then we W off of them and try to play.
So do I play like further back? Like am I...
Yeah, because you want to bait the enemy into thinking that you have no threat, that you can't ever go in.
I don't stand where Leona would stand or Nami or something.
No,
I'm just like chilling.
Yeah, because if I want to fight, well, that's if I want to fight, right? Because otherwise, you know, say I'm playing against Nautilus, then I'm just going to position in between Nautilus and my Lucian at all times, so that if Nautilus tries to hook Lucian, then I could just block it with shield or whatever, right? But if I'm playing against a ranged support as Braum, which ideally shouldn't just never happen, because ideally we're just picking Braum into the engaged support instead, like as a counter. So if we're playing against the engaged support, either way, like if I want to kill them, then I don't want to be like walking up playing really aggressively, because then I'm like showing my hand. If I want to kill them, I want them to think like I'm just a Braum who's going to sit back here and AFK and do nothing, and then they walk up to hit the wave and I W to the creep and then run them down, right? Like your W space. Is your tool. Okay, yeah. Create space so the enemy walks up and then we can W in, because Braum only can play long trades, right? So we need space in the lane or else we can't facilitate a long trade.
Okay.
So like what we did here, it makes sense because we just want to like fight these guys and pressure them. But the way we fight them, what you should actually be doing is just be back here instead. Let them like walk up too far, and then I W to this creep and then run them down. Or I let Lucian dash in and then I W to Lucian and then Q somebody like that.
And WN is good because you get all the resistances and shit anyway.
Yeah, so but it's also just about like our champion is actually threatening if we can proc our passive, but you get kited very easily on Braum. So it's more about just like facilitating our passive, basically, like using our W as an engage tool kind of thing, making them think that we can't go in when we actually can with the W. Because the reality of Braum is if the enemy is aware that you're trying to kill then they will just walk away. You probably can't, you don't often kill people as Braum by just like walking at them in a straight line. Right, he's a very like one-dimensional champion. Yeah, like you need to surprise them with your threat. It's exactly like Poppy. Like you're a warden who's trying to cosplay as an engager, right? Which you have threat, but your threat is conditional. So we need to be like maximizing those conditions or whatever. And then you can see we lose this fight because we ran with them.
Because I can play Poppy, so I should be able to play Braum. So I just need to think about playing like a Poppy who can like save my person from dying and then auto everyone instead of trying to do one person at once.
Yeah, and then here it's going to be the same story. Lucian, you know, we just play for level up timer. Here, because we died, we're not going to have it. But ideally, we're ahead. We hit level 5. These guys are both level 4. Lucian dashes in. I W to him. I'll E the Seraphine E. And then we just like looked at the closest target and then fight them. And then, you know, the way Braum is going to play against engagers is going to be different. Like the way we play against engager is we just kind of, if we throw Qs and chill. And then if the enemy ever engages onto us, we fight them to the death. That's how it works. But against range supports, we're just kind of throwing Qs and then we're trying to make the enemy think we aren't threatening at all and then like W in. I picked Sona against the Braum Ezreal lane, and then they did exactly what I was telling you. Like I was winning, I was pushing, and then Ezreal just E flashed on me and then Braum W'd onto Ezreal and I just died for free. And I ended up going like 0-12 in that game. So that's the way you kill these enchanter players as Braum, is you make them think you aren't threatening, and then you use your ADC's dash as your dash, basically, with your W. You get your ADC to dash in to catch them off guard, you W to them, you land an auto or a Q on them, and then you can just run them down and kill them in the long lane.
Makes sense.
Cool. All right, so I want to look at a few fights and just look at like spell usage and fights and stuff like that, and then we will call it after that.
I literally only blocked one ulti the whole game, and it was a smolder ulti. That was it. I was too, like, this game is such a mess.
It's like your first Braum game, so it's fine, but... So here we probably just don't want to be fighting it because it's 2 versus 3. But our E is up. We hear the Seraphine ulti. We just need to block that. Now we have to base. Okay. Let's look at another one. I would like one where we can actually play the game. Hold on. Maybe this. Okay, maybe this. Okay, we're fucking in our Nexus dying. But maybe we can play this one. I need to see when you respawn. Problem is, like, Lucian is dead in this one. Alright, auto this guy. Q him. Cool. Walk forward. W. I would W more this than this, just because I want to get on these guys, right? Like I'm trying to use my W to get on to them.
I always think about using my W as giving resistances to I'm jumping to, but you're saying it's more about like getting to where I need to be.
That's how we want to do it if we're like peeling. If my ADC is stronger than them and we win the front to back fight, then which is what should normally happen in the game where we pick Braum. This is not a normal Braum game. We're playing against a range support, right? So typically like Braum just wants to play against engage support every game. And if we're against an engage support, then they should just get outscaled. And then if they're getting outscaled, then we can just play front to back fights in the late game and protect our ADC. Use our W as like a peeling tool, right? But even then, our W is not like, oh, I'm using it to give my Lucian like 20 armor and Amar, because that's what it gives. I'm using my W to get in position onto my Lucian so I can then use my shield. That's what actually blocks all the damage onto Lucian is the shield, right? Like they literally can't deal damage to him through you. Yeah, and just never go 5 points Q. Like literally until you're level 18. Only put 3 points Q if you're trying to win your lane. And then after that, go E and then W after that. And then put points into Q as your last spell. Because the last 2 points in the Q, all they do is make you deal damage. And then Braum is not a champion where we actually care about dealing damage, right? If this significantly lowered the cooldown or it increased the slow or something, then we would be more inclined to put points into it. But it doesn't lower the cooldown that much. And mainly what it does is just increase damage. And we don't care about dealing damage on Braum. We want to be tanky, right? We want to be able to protect Lucian. So, yeah. So using our W as like a mobility tool more than a stat tool, right? Use your W's. So let's see. Use W. Positional tool rather than a stat stick. Save, E usage in fights. 3 points Q max. Straight to E max if we can't win 2v2. Not even can't win if we can't pressure them. Because like this is a lane where we can win 2v2, but you're never going to be like killing these guys on repeat if they're not trolling, right? So if that's the case, then I'll just go straight to E maxing and I'll just try to match Seraphine scaling with my E usage in fights. Yeah, and then auto many people.
But if it's like an engaged champion, then I want to put points into it because I'm going to be like using it to poke, but also being able to like kill the engaged team.
Exactly. Yep. But never more than 3 in any matchup, no matter what. Never more than 3. Only 3 points Q because it's like a laning tool.
Got it. It's like Sona.
Yeah. Okay, so honestly, I think the only other thing that would be valuable looking at is fights in this game, but the unfortunate reality is like none of the fights were good.
There's just not very many good ones.
There's we're just like hard losing or like we're dead or our teammates are dead. So there's no good ones. I'd be down to look at another one, but I think honestly, this review is going to be more valuable for you just like get an understanding of Braum identity than it is to.
Yeah, that's what I came in for. So I'm happy. And I mean, I'm going to try to duo so I can play Braum more. Because I keep getting it drafted and I keep like playing like shit. So I'm like, I know what his buttons do, but that's as far as this goes.
Yeah. He's a tough champion to play, honestly. He is a tough champion to play in the bad matchups. It's like, and then some games you pick Braum and it just feels like it plays itself.
It
like
does,
the enemy
literally.
has Draven Nautilus. I fucking just Q them. They try to kill my ADC. I exhaust the Draven. I right click him. He dies. I walk into the fights and I just stand in front of my ADC and press E and they can't play. Like, Braum is very much a champion where he's either, some games he could be the best champion the entire game and it's not close. And then in a different game, like literally switch out 2 champions and all of a sudden he's the worst champion in the game and it's not even close, right? He's very comp reliant. Yeah. I only ever play Braum as a counter pick to engagers personally in competitive and solo queue as well. Like if they blind Nautilus or something, I might pick Braum.
Yep. It just seems like one of those comp staples you have to know how to play.
Yeah, I think so. If you're going to play competitive, you have to be able to play this champ. If they give it to you, like the freest Braum game ever. But again, like the hard parts about playing Braum and learning him are these games. It's not the game where they pick Draven Nautilus into me, right? So I think like just learn how to play Braum against melees. Personally, if it was me, I wouldn't ever really want to pick him for experience against like Seraphine Ezreal, because the reality is like we just don't get very much learning playing against these champs for how the champion should actually play when it's a good game.
Like if I play Nautilus here, then Lucian gets fed, or I just run around everywhere.
Or you
else
could just play
while
Nami
Lucian is
too.
chill.
If he's Lucian, you can just play Nami and it'll feel better. Yeah. Nami,
Yeah.
Emilio, or like Nautilus, Leona, even Poppy, to be honest. Because like Poppy, even though her engage is conditional, I still think you have a better chance of killing these guys in the lane. But yeah, Nautilus is just the best champ here, and it's not close if we want to like play to kill them. And then Nami is the best champ if we just want to pick for Lucian synergy.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
No problem.
See you later. I've been coaching a billion sessions this week.
Oh, I'm hyped up. Barn, I think Braum could be good as well to learn, but only as a counter pick to engagers, like you said. And then the problem is that when you play with Leaf or with Mafia, he doesn't pick engage champions. So if you pick Braum and you have no engage on your team, you're a little bit homeless, right? So we'll have to see, but like I am down for you to learn Braum. If they're just gonna like slam Nautilus blind into you and shit in SCC, then we could try to learn.
I mean, I kind of just wanted to learn it enough to, because I've played it probably in 20 scrims now, maybe 15. But like, I just had no idea how I should be thinking about the game so much as just like, these are my buttons.
Yeah.
So the games that played themselves, like you said, went fine because all I have to do is auto people and then
walk to the objective and then click
like,
on people.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's so easy.
Which I could do. But in lane, I was like, what the F am I supposed to be doing?
The thing about Braum is like,
I have no idea.
When you pick him in a game where he feels good and you're winning, it plays itself. You literally like, because you just get to the objective first, the enemy has to walk into you, and then you just like, you can literally like not even use your E and your champion will still feel good just by proccing passive. But if you're in a state where you have no engage and you're playing Braum and you're losing the game and the enemy just gets into the objective first, that's like what makes Braum hard, right? But yeah, Ebarn, what's up?
Is Braum Sejuani like a good? I feel like Sejuani wants the same thing.
Yeah, Braum Sejuani is good. Yeah. And then Sejuani is also like an engager, right? So, oh, but you're not playing with Mafia, are you? You're gonna play a bunch of games with Leaf. So yeah, I wouldn't mind like, especially if they go engage. We do like ADC Sejuani on 1-2. They pick like Nautilus or Alistar or something, and then you just slam Braum on 3. That seems reasonable to me. Yeah. If you want to try it out, like maybe, you know, play a solo queue game, and if they blind Nautilus, just pick Braum and see how it feels or something, and we could talk about it. All right, but I have to go. Zyda got off work early, so it was a pleasure, gamers.
Hey, bye.
I will see you guys later.